Salutations, respected viewers. This is George from Ireland, and in this video I'm going to ask, does anyone believe that North Korea will denuclearize? I wonder whether even Donald Trump believes this will happen. So we've got Donald Trump, who lies incessantly and never keeps his promises, versus Kim Jong-un, who also lies incessantly and never keeps his promises. So these people are completely unreliable. They can't even rely on themselves. Trump changes opinions from day to day. He could rip up this agreement any time. This meeting was going to happen, then he pulled out of it, then he pulled back into it, and he wanted to chop and change it whilst it was going on. He wanted to prepone it and so forth. There we are. It's a minor miracle it took place at all. Why would the North Koreans rid themselves of their nuclear weapons? Because that's their trump card. Don't forgive the pun. That's all that North Korea has going for itself. Otherwise, it would just be a tin pot tyranny with a very low standard of living. The North Koreans on the whole are several inches shorter than their South Korean confrères, people of exactly the same ethnicity, solely because they're so malnourished. Now, Kim Jong-un is not malnourished. There's a famine in North Korea, and it looks like that Kim Jong-un caused it by eating all the rest of the food. But being facetious aside, there are some grave problems here. So Kim Jong-un is keenly aware that his vicious regime could well be overthrown if he didn't have nuclear weapons, because he knows the United States would never dare take on a nuclear power. So the North Korean regime blatantly does not care for its people. Obviously not against ordinary North Koreans. They suffer horrifically. They are brainwashed. And it was nauseating but unsurprising that Trump had nothing but praise for Kim Jong-un, this ogre, and his viciously oppressive regime. Trump went on about it as though sublimity reigns in North Korea, talking about the positive coverage on the North Korean media of Kim Jong-un. Is Trump so stupid he doesn't realize that really is fake news, and people don't dare utter the mildest word of criticism of Kim Jong-un because it'd be more than your life's worth? And Trump sees this as a model to emulate. He respects that. He was constantly paying tribute to Kim Jong-un and that murderous regime, whilst then being so insulting towards towards Trudeau and the Canadians. It beggars belief. Anyway, I don't think North Korea is going to get rid of its nuclear weapons for several reasons. It's the only stalwart ally that China has. Maybe some African countries will become firm allies of theirs, but it's on their border. The Chinese do not want US troops on their border. They don't want a strong, united Korea, because that would be something of a regional rival, and they quite like having North Korea as a client state. However, their degree of control over North Korea shouldn't be exaggerated. The Chinese would like to see US troops withdraw, but Trump might actually even facilitate that. Anyway, so the Chinese are also aware that this erratic regime in Pyongyang could easily aim its missiles at China. So Kim Jong-un is perhaps playing the madman card, a bit like Trump does. It was a Nixon strategy that we better not provoke this madman because there's no telling what he might do. He might launch a preemptive strike, and that's what Trump was threatening a few months ago. I doubt there was so much reasoning about it to it. I don't think there was such method to Trump's madness. He's so volatile. He just reacts the way he feels. It's just from one whim to the next, and he would like to rule by fiat, as Kim Jong-un does. So the agreement is unraveling already. And the North Koreans said it's going to be step by step. They'll gradually denuclearize, whilst the United States and other countries will gradually lift sanctions. But Pompeo, no. The U.S. Defense Secretary, he said, the People's Democratic Republic of Korea must denuclearize totally. Only then will sanctions be lifted. But anyway, who would verify whether they'd been lifted or not? There was no inspection mechanism built into the agreement. There are no particulars at all. There is no time frame. Denuclearize over a century or what? The North Koreans could do that and be entirely within the terms of the agreement. So it was a win hands down for them, and Trump was an absolute fool to have signed it. He has been humiliated again, and he refused to seek expert advice. The State Department is very understaffed, and he thought it was so smart he could do it without any preparation, without taking soundings from those in the know. So the North Koreans will pretend to cooperate, and there will be some very visible concessions made, and then they will try to get things from the other side, sanctions lifted. They tried this in the 90s. Inspectors could go there, they'd play a game of cat and mouse. So there was a little bit of headway in the 90s. North Korea got some South Korean factories set up there, got sanctions eased, and then reverted to type. So this is the life cycle. Now, the People's Republic of China is vital in all this because 90% of North Korea's trade is with them. There are North Korean restaurants in China, for example, and all sorts of North Korean workers. So Chinese cooperation is crucial to choking the North Korean economy such that there's some degree of cooperation. And Trump was moronic yet again. No sooner was he out of this Singapore summit than he hacked off the Chinese by announcing sanctions on China. So the Chinese are annoyed, and they can easily turn back up the North Korean problem and irritate Trump. They can start breaking the sanctions and giving the North Koreans vital aid. So their fists will no longer be over the North Korean windpipe. Then the North Koreans can afford to up the ante. They will get stroppy again. So with North Korean uppity, what is Trump going to do? He will fulminate. Sanctions can't really get tighter from the worst of the world. He'll be revealed to be impotent again. So there we are. And he's already given Kim Jong-un what his father and grandfather always craved, a meeting with the United States. There they were, parleying on equal terms, really raised their status. So Trump has proved himself to be a fool, someone who is so moronic, who so grossly overestimates his own ability, he does not seek counsel from those who are really well versed in such matters. So that's that. I really see no prospect of North Korea denuclearizing. Does anyone who is cognizant with North Korean affairs think it likely that North Korea would denuclearize? What's in it for that barbarous regime? All it does is make them vulnerable to be attacked. The US government was idiotic enough to cite the Libyan example where there was denuclearization, with any nuclear weapons program actually, and then the dictator was overthrown and killed. That's precisely the wrong example to pick. Just the thing to frighten the North Korean regime into clinging even more tightly to their nukes than ever. So I really don't think it's going to happen. There may be some headway. I would be elated to be left with egg on my face. Kim Jong-un, please prove me wrong. Please denuclearize, and I'll be happy to be embarrassed, and I want to be proven wrong. But I think it highly improbable.